another Axel 72 video, and in today's video I'm back with another interview. I'm here with Didz Drewba. Hopefully I pronounced that right. How are we doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, mate. Yeah, you did pronounce that right, so well done there. So
Amazing, good stuff. Well, thank you very much for being here today. Am I right in saying you're a professional and amateur boxing coach?
yes, sir, that's correct.
Yes, sir. Amazing. Well, I'll start with the question, which I always like to start off with. Why did you start coaching?
I used to box at like quite a low level, like on the white collar and unlicensed scene. Had a couple fights along that line, and then obviously I'm getting a bit older now, so I wanted to like kind of try and stay around the sport because it just kept me something to do, and probably a lot of people say like out of trouble and stuff like that. So I decided to get into coaching.
Of course. And do you know the kind of, as you have experienced fighting as well, do you know the kind of importance, like you said, of using fighting as a way to get away from these kind of maybe distractions from the outer world?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like obviously when I was younger, I used to drink quite a lot, like do some narcotics that I shouldn't have done, and then boxing gave me a bit of an avenue to break away from that cycle. And then obviously when I was doing it, I was enjoying it, like enjoying staying out of trouble, and yeah, it just turned into a passion for me. And obviously I wanted to be like a positive person in my community and stuff like that instead of probably being a negative.
No, of course, I appreciate that. And is there any kind of message which you could maybe say to parents who are thinking of maybe going down that route with their children, because they don't want their children to go down a bad route?
I mean, yeah, again, I agree totally that if their child is probably a bit destructive or getting into the naughty sides of life, I'd definitely say to get their children into boxing or some sort of combat, because it teaches them that discipline that I didn't have anyway. So it taught me discipline probably at the age of 20, 25, 26. So it's never too late to change your life around.
Indeed, I have to agree, mate. And just to speak about yourself as a coach, like I said, you do amateur and professional coaching, and so what do you kind of look for, maybe characteristics wise, in a fighter when they come to you and want coaching from you?
As long as I get a vibe off them and we gel and stuff like that, because obviously I've had boxers and stuff like that where the vibe isn't too right. Like I might not agree with what they do, and they might not agree with how I coach and stuff like that, and that's that's totally fine. You're not gonna gel with everyone. But as long as we get on, and because with my fighters, I don't just see them as fighters. I see them as like, and some of them might be older than me, but I just see them as, I just want to look after you, I want to try and take care of you. So as long as we get on and we have a good connection, that's all I really look for, if I'm being honest.
That's brilliant. And I mean, you see a lot of fighters who do quite often chop and change between coaches, but how important is it to you to have fighters that are very much stuck with you and know the importance of having a good relationship with a coach?
Do you know what? It's right with what you're saying. It's all about loyalty, I believe, because like you see a lot of fighters, they don't get a decision, and they might have been with their trainer for like 5 or 10 years, but might be a bit longer, and then they have a little bump in the road, and the first thing they have to think of, and it's probably because of social media, is like, right, I need to change now. But they don't ever go back to the drawing board and say, right, this is what we've done wrong. Let's work on it together as a team. And then if it goes wrong again, then think, all right, do you know what? Maybe I might have to change it up. But I see it a lot of the times, and not just in boxing, but when something goes wrong, they just think, like, I need to change it straight away. Like, it's like a panic button for them, because they think the grass will be greener on the other side, but 9 times out of 10, it's still not that. It's within the individual themselves.
Yeah.
So, but that's how I believe it anyway.
Yeah, totally is. And I mean, so as you've, like I mentioned a couple of times now, as you do amateur and professionals, what kind of differences do you have to, I suppose, teach going between amateurs and professionals?
It's just the amateur and the pro scene is completely different. Like on the amateurs, they're more concerned about like straight shots, like the jab, the 1-2. They don't really like rolls and stuff like that. And in an amateur fight, you don't really have that much time. because it's I always think it's like a sprint. You have to quite rush your work, because if you lose the first round, you got to come out and win the second and third rounds. So you got to work that tiny bit harder, even though you might have just given everything in the first round. But yeah, they're completely different. On the pros, like, they're 3-minute rounds, obviously, for men. So you get a bit more time to find your style and try and find your way into the fight. But the amateurs, I'm not really the biggest fan of amateur boxing, in my opinion. I like more of the pro side, but obviously the club that I'm at, they have a lot of amateurs there. So you kind of have to do it. But I would definitely say even my style of coaching as well, it's more for the professional side.
Of course. And so just to speak about a few of the fighters which you work with, I mean, somebody we had on the channel just a few days ago now, Daryl Tupfuma. Of course, he's coming off of a victory over, well, I can't remember who it was against, but it was on the box office. It was a very good performance from him. And what do you make of him as a fighter, and what is your ratings of his last fight?
Do you know what? With Daryl, it's tough. With Daryl, it's tough because Daryl will either be really, really switched on, which I have to say he is the majority of the time. But his performance last week even blew me away. I didn't see that coming, if I was being honest. I didn't see that coming because obviously Daryl's a journeyman. He's on the road. We know what he's there for. And I can understand like his mentality. When he goes to normal fights, he goes, I'm just there to obviously pick up a wage. But I'm not going to say 9 times out of 10, but the majority of the time, Daryl is better than the prospects. But obviously he just can't go out there and do what he wants to do. Against Sam, we went up there, we weighed in the day before, which we never get to do that. It's always on the same day. So obviously he went to sleep, he had a good rest, he rehydrated the way he needed to rehydrate. And then I remember when we was in the back and we was getting him warmed up, and I got him on the pads and he threw a jab, and then I told him to throw a 1-2. He threw the 1-2 and I clipped him. And I said, Daryl, not tonight. And his first thing he said to me, he goes, no, I'm switched on now, I'm switched on. And when he was hitting the pads, they were so crisp and so clean, and his head movement was good. He was thinking about what he wanted to throw next. And then that performance, it blew me away. And he even said to me, he goes, you're nervous tonight, ain't you? And I was like, Daryl, I am nervous, but I'm not nervous for me. I'm nervous for you, because I know this can change your life right now. And he was just laughing in the back, and I've never seen Daryl like that. So, last weekend was a great performance from him, and we've been waiting for that for a long time to go and showcase our skills, and even my skills as a coach. Because when I'm dealing with like a Daryl, I don't really come up with a game plan because they know what they're doing in there. Yeah. But I had to come up with a game plan to beat Sam, and I knew Sam was coming. I knew Sam was coming for it. I could tell that he was going to come for it. He was going to make it interesting. But we got there first on the night. Big up to Sam, because Sam done his part as well. I don't know if you saw the fight. Yeah, it was a great fight. They both came for it. Daryl got there. I think for me, it was fight of the night. I'm not trying to be biased because Daryl was my fighter on the night. But, they both went for it. And, like I said, Daryl just got there first.
Yeah, indeed. It was a great night of fighting, a great fight from him. And it's rare when you see tournaments come along like the box off that can show, and you can have fights where the journeymen coming in, and like you said, they have opportunities of a lifetime to come and win and change their whole lives. And I mean, there was a couple journeymen that won on that card as well. And what did you make of the whole tournament and that whole kind of format as well?
Do you know what? I think the matchmaking was really, really good. I think they were genuinely 50-50 fights. When we first got there, they looked after us. Obviously it was an honour meeting people like Ricky Hatton, myself, an idol for British boxing. So yeah, it was kind of surreal for me because I've never been to a press conference like that. We normally just go and we just turn up and we're late or something like that. But it was proper. Like Zab from IQ, Paul from Hockwell, and obviously the rest of the guys that put that together, you know, it was a fantastic show. So, you know, I have to applaud them and thank them for inviting us as well.
Of course. And now just to move on to a couple of the other fighters that you've worked with in the past. You've got Robbie Chapman. He's another experienced journeyman. He knows the game well. And what has it been like working with him as a fighter?
Well, do you know what? When I first got my professional license, I knew Robbie from the gym, but we never ever kind of crossed paths. I saw him in the gym, we said hello and stuff like that. And then when it was lockdown, Xavier Miller, he rang me and he goes, I needed you to take one of my fighters out on a show. You know, they're relaxing a few things in lockdown. So I said, yeah, that's perfect. I said, who do you want me to take out? So he said, obviously Robbie Chapman. Mm. So I said, yeah, no problem. I'll take him up there. I'll look after him and stuff like that. So I said to him, like, who's the main trainer? And he goes, well, you are. And I was like, whoa, let's slow down a minute here. Like, I've taken sparring in your gym, but I've never gone into a contest, let alone by myself. And he just said to me, look, I feel like you're ready. I wouldn't throw you in there if I didn't think you was ready. And it was on the MTK show. So we ended up going up there, and I remember I was really, really, really nervous because obviously it was my first fight. It was on TV. It was being streamed everywhere. And obviously Robbie hadn't trained for a long time. And when we took it, I think he had a week and a half, and he hadn't boxed for about 2 years. And I said to him in one of the sparrings, I said, are you sure you really want to do this? And he said to me, he goes, look, on the night I'll be ready. He goes, I know I don't look ready right now, but just trust me and I'll be ready. And it was a 6-rounder as well against a very good prospect from, I think it was Fergus Quinn from Ireland. And, you know, it was a good fight, but for me, that was just like, how can I put it? It was a great opportunity for me, but I have to admit, I didn't feel like I was ready. But when I got there, I knew I was ready. And we had a few on MTK. We had Jordan Reynolds. Who else did we have? Ben Fell. And then I've only been out with Robbie once where he's been stopped, and that was against Kevin Ajarko. But that was over, I think that was the 7th round, and Robbie's never ever been stopped between 6 rounds. So it's like his calling card kind of thing. He goes, none of you lot have beaten me in 6 rounds. Who can be the first person to do it? But yeah, Robbie, again, he's he's a character. Every time you go on a show with him, something will go wrong. But you know, that's just Robbie's character, and I wouldn't change it. He's a fantastic guy.
Amazing. It's so nice and refreshing to see you speak so highly about these fighters. And just to move on to another one, Dennis Warholm, you've worked with him in the past. He's not fought for quite a while now. Do you feel like there will be a return where we might get from him?
I really hope so with Dennis. I really do hope so. I know, like you said, he hasn't boxed for a long time. I think since, is it Liam Dillon? Yep. I think they boxed for the English. I think that was a closer fight than what the judges gave it to. But you know, Liam Dillon, he's a great fighter. He's very come forward. He doesn't stop throwing. And obviously Dennis he's more on the back foot, likes to counter and stuff like that, and work on the inside. But I hope we see Dennis back one day. I really do, because again, he's another great individual. And yeah, he deserves another chance at it. So let's hope so.
Indeed. And just a final fighter that I've got to speak about, Adrian Redman. Of course, you've worked with him in the past. He's developing very well. He's got his first, I believe, 10-rounder coming up, and I mean he's 8-0 now. So, do you feel like for him he's got so much potential?
Adrian Redman does. Yeah, Adrian Redman does as well. You know, he's always in the gym. You know, he works hard. Again, he works hard, like all the fighters do. And again, to get Adrian Southern area, is it the Southern area he's fighting for? Is it?
Not. It might be an eliminator for it.
I think it's the eliminator. Again, I hope he gets past it. I'm sure he will. He was supposed to have his fight a few weeks ago, but I think he got injured. So yeah, I think is it William Webber? He's yeah. So Robbie fought William, and I thought Robbie beat William Webber on a night. I know Adrian can do it, but you know what? And in boxing as well, like, you can put all the hard work in on the gym, and sometimes it's just not your night. You know, you can have the perfect game plan going into the fight, and sometimes people just have an off day. But I'm sure if Adrian is completely ready on the night, he won't disappoint.
Amazing. And I mean, just for your ambitions as a coach, I mean, it seems like you've been developing as a coach very well so far, and things have been going very well for you, and nobody really knows what the future holds, but what is your kind of ambitions for coaching?
Oh, that's a good question. Do you know what? I feel like with myself, I feel like I've overachieved, and I haven't really done much in boxing. You know what I mean? Like, but just for myself as a person, I feel like I've overachieved, because if you ask like either my mum or a few of my friends, close friends, if I could ever got to this stage, they probably would have said no. But do you know what? I just kept my head down. I kept working hard. I would like to have my own couple of fighters and my own gym one day. But I know, you know, you just got to take your time. If you rush it, it's never going to come. So maybe I'll get a breakthrough one day. But yeah, to have like my own gym and stuff, and like my own fighters, and build them up through the ranks, I would probably say that's my end goal.
Amazing. And like I said, you never know what the future holds, and I'm sure it's going to end up for good for you. And I'll leave with this final question, which I always like to ask. You've got a little bit of a platform on this channel. Is there anything you'd like to shout out?
Oh yeah, I just like to thank Zav, Nick, and from IQ Boxing. You know, they gave me the opportunity many years ago when they didn't have to do that. So I'll always thank them. Paul at Hockwell Boxing as well. He introduced me to Daryl, and me and Daryl, I've got a really good friendship. So you know, I'd like to thank Paul as well, and you know, shout out to yourself for letting me come on this channel and have a great conversation with you. So thank you very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure, mate, and hopefully everything goes well with the rest of the Box Off tournament as well, and maybe if things keep going the way they are, we could maybe have a catch up at the end if we see Daryl possibly in the final. You never know.
Yeah, against Levi, it's gonna be a tough fight against Levi, but I generally believe, and it's no disrespect to Levi, but I generally believe we can get to him somehow or some way. They fought before, obviously. They give it 4-2. I thought it was 3-3, but again, it was Journeymen. We knew what we was there for. But Levi, listen, I get on well with Levi outside of boxing. He's not gonna make it easy for us. But as long as the camp goes well, and we have no injuries and stuff like that, I think it's a generally 50-50 fight. But Daryl's going to have to go through a lot if he wants to get the win. But I'm sure he's ready to put in the work, and you know, like I said, he can change his life like with a fight like this. So why wouldn't you want to take that opportunity?
Yeah, totally, mate. I can't wait, and it should be a great fight. And like I said, thank you very much again for coming on. And yeah, if you are new around here and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need a like video, and thanks for watching.